So when I picture the house of Tom Ford, ombre leather is what comes to mind. I don't know if it's because I have a scent memory with it, maybe going to smell Tom Ford's at the counter, or just a scent profile in general being very dark and has that Tom Ford edge to it. But today we're obviously going to be reviewing Tom Ford's ombre leather. So let's get right into it. Hey, what's going on guys? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, go to smash the subscribe button down below. But that's correct guys, we're gonna be reviewing Tom Ford's ombre leather. And of course we're doing the signature collection bottle because that's pretty much all you can buy now. Since ombre leather 16, which used to come in the private blends, was discontinued and carried over to the signature, just like Beau de Jour and some other fragrances from Tom Ford. Let's go with some information about ombre leather. Now, this fragrance was launched in 2018, at least the signature bottle. The original one was launched in 2016, which was a limited edition kind of exclusive private blend they did. Now, the retail price for ombre leather at the time of this recording, because Tom Fords are always raising the prices yearly, of course, you can pick up a 50 ml bottle like I have here for $140. And you can get a 100 ml bottle for $195. So the perfumer behind ombre leather is Sonia Constant, which when I looked at her resume, she has actually created quite a few Tom Fords. One in particular is Noir Extreme, which is very popular in the line. But what actually shocked me is she created Victor Rolf's Dancing Roses, which is a cherry dominant fragrance, which I actually love. I actually have a bottle of that, which has been discontinued. It kind of smells like Lost Cherry, but I actually might prefer that one over it. So yeah, she did create those two. So let's go ahead and look at the packaging and presentation you're gonna get with ombre leather now. All right, so with the box of ombre leather, it is kind of a cheap cardboard box. You do have the TF on the top for the logo. Ombre leather, it is an eau de parfum concentration, just like the private blend, which is nice. And this is the 50 ml bottle I have in hand. On the back, you're just gonna get some of your ingredients, of course. And on the bottom, you do have your batch code and barcode to authenticate your product and see when your product was produced. So with the bottle of ombre leather, I honestly actually really love this bottle presentation. You do have the matte black finish with the leather, Tom Ford ombre leather, kind of a logo right there, which is nice. You do have TF on the cap. The cap is decently weighted, nothing inside the cap, and it does not click into place, but it is held on by pressure, which is good. Nothing on the back, and then of course on the bottom, you do just have some of your information and batch code down there as well. Very solid bottle. In the top, you do have cardamom. In the middle notes, you have leather and jasmine sambac. And in the base, you have amber, moss, and patchouli. Now, that is a pretty simple note breakdown with only having one note in the top, two notes in the middle, and three notes in the base. But let's go ahead and spray this one, test the atomizer per usual. Now I'm gonna spray this one on skin, let's see. All right, the atomizers from Tom Ford in general are not the best in my opinion. They're not pressurized, nothing like that. And they don't give out the most juice, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. It does provide significant amount of fragrance on your skin. So let's go ahead and see what we pick up from the opening of ombre leather. All right, so of course in the top and the opening of ombre leather, you are gonna get a little bit of spiciness from that cardamom alongside the leather. Now, of course, the leather is the main player behind ombre leather. It's a leather bomb. Now, it's honestly the most authentic leather fragrance I've ever smelled. It does smell like a brand new car's leather. If you ever bought a brand new car or been in a brand new car, you get inside and you're just overwhelmed with that new car smell, which is of course the leather. And that's exactly how this fragrance comes across. Now, compared to Tuscan Leather, which is another leather offering from Tom Ford, which was launched back in 2007. It was one of the original private blend launches. With that one, it's a little bit more dark, slightly more animalic of a kind of leather, and a little bit fruity alongside raspberry and stuff like that, and can come across a little bit ashy. Tuscan Leather was actually my first Tom Ford and my first private blend in general. And basically like my first niche fragrance in my collection, even though Tom Ford is considered a designer brand, which they are. But when you talk about the private blends and stuff like that, you think of them more like a high-end designer or niche quality. So alongside the leather and ombre leather, you are going to get a heavy dose of jasmine. Now, the jasmine does actually come across a little bit dirty, which I love my jasmine to be like that. And jasmine is actually one of my favorite floral notes alongside rose and lavender. I absolutely love jasmine, and it's done so well in this fragrance. It kind of reminds me of like Jasmine Rouge by Tom Ford, which I do own a bottle. You can probably see up there. With that one, of course, you obviously have a bunch of other notes. Just the jasmine that's put in that fragrance resembles one that's in this. Yeah, just all in all, a phenomenal leather fragrance. Probably my favorite. This actually surpassed Tuscan Leather for being my favorite leather fragrance, which is shocking. I love Tuscan Leather. I have so many memories with that one. Just kind of got old of it. And man, ombre leather is pretty much the new kid on the block, so to say. Now, as ombre leather does dry down, the leather and the jasmine honestly pretty much stay throughout the life of the fragrance. This fragrance is not really complex like Tuscan Leather, which is there's more going on in that fragrance compared to this. It's a little bit more simple and just basically focused on the leather note. But in the dry down, it does become a little bit more earthy, a little bit more green from the moss and the patchouli. And you do have a little bit of a warming aspect with the golden amber as well. But the amber is not prominent whatsoever, just gives it a little bit more of a warm touch as it dries down. This fragrance is definitely more suited for maybe someone that loves to wear like biker jackets, leather jackets. This fragrance does come across very masculine, almost like an alpha kind of fragrance. If you ever think of like what an alpha fragrance would be, ombre leather definitely comes to mind. It is also a very sexy fragrance. The women absolutely love ombre leather because when you think of like the smell of leather, you kind of think of like a bad guy, so to say. That's the image that is usually portrayed with leather or the smell of leather in general, like a biker jacket, a Harley Davidson riding kind of guy. And that's exactly what ombre leather is. And that would fit that kind of persona perfectly. This would be someone's signature scent that is usually wearing a biker jacket or a leather jacket in general. Just a very masculine fragrance. Now, as far as age groups go for ombre leather that I think it's best suited for, of course, at the end of the day, you can wear whatever fragrance you want at any age you want to wherever you want. Just when you picture age groups wearing this one, what best comes to mind is definitely more of a gentleman's fragrance. I would say anyone probably 20 and up can pull this one off the best, and that's just what comes to my mind. If you're in high school and stuff like that, you're probably not gonna wanna wear this one to high school. It just doesn't really fit that scenario, and maybe a little bit of offensive to people around you and stuff like that. Just walk around and smell like a blast of leather and dirty jasmine. It just doesn't really work best for that. So yeah, definitely 20 and up can pull this one off the best. So as far as seasons go for ombre leather, I mean, honestly, you could pretty much use this all year round. There's nothing really that makes it only a warm weather fragrance or only a cold weather fragrance. But if I had to choose, definitely fall and winter, just because that's when you're mostly gonna be wearing like the leather jackets. It obviously has a little bit of spiciness in the opening, a little bit earthy, and just extremely heavy on the leather note, which works best for the fall and winter. But at the end of the day, it does come across like a fresh leather smell. So you could wear this one all year round, no problems. As far as occasions go, this is not really a work-safe fragrance. It is a little bit daring. It's not as crowd-pleasing as you would think. So I would definitely say wear this one casually, like if you're just going out for the weekend, hanging out with friends. This would also work fantastic for a date night as well because it is a very sexy, dominant alpha male kind of fragrance. So yeah, definitely works for dates. Wear it casually and maybe to parties and stuff like that. Not to work or even really dressed up as well. It's not a formal fragrance. It's casual and date nights is perfect for ombre leather. So on the performance of ombre leather, now this actually shocked me because this to me outperforms Tuscan Leather as far as projection goes. This stuff is a beast when it comes to projection. It definitely projects easily 6 feet out for a good like 3 hours or so. And as far as the longevity goes, it lasts easily 10 plus hours on my skin. As far as Tuscan Leather, just comparing the two a little bit, Tuscan Leather does sit a little bit closer to the skin and it lasts about the same amount of time as ombre leather. So it definitely gets a thumbs up for me in the performance category, above average for sure. So for my final assessment of ombre leather, do I think this fragrance is worth it? I would say 100% it is worth it, especially if you love the smell of leather. If you're looking for a bad boy kind of fragrance, This one suits the bill perfectly. And at the price of 140 bucks for 50 ml as of now, I think that is a great deal for the high quality fragrance you're gonna be getting, especially compared to the private blend, which used to retail around like 270 for a 50 ml. Huge bargain for the fragrance you're gonna be getting. But that's pretty much gonna wrap up my review of Ombre Leather. Let me know down below if you actually own Ombre Leather, how you enjoy it, if you own the private blend or the signature. If you tried both, definitely tell me how it compares. What I heard is they are very similar. But as always, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. And I'll catch all you guys in the next upload. Take care, everybody.